Lingering ash trees along the Huron River of Michigan. Hello, I'm Connie Barlow. Today is August 1st, 2026, and this program is video documentation of the ash trees that are still alive. They may be green ash, they may be white ash, I'm not sure of the species, but I know they're ash trees. And they're alive along an elevated bottomland section of the Huron River, a big river that flows here in southeastern Michigan. Now, the reason lingering ash is in the title is because starting in about 2002, the emerald ash borer insect from northeastern Asia was documented in the United States. And this is ground zero here. This is Ypsilanti, Michigan, a little bit west of Detroit. And so that was 2002. That's 24 years ago. And even starting as soon as about 2015, the scientists were saying that pretty much all our ash trees were going to disappear here, that there was no natural immunity to this bug coming in from Asia. Now, I've only personally experienced the emerald ash borer once. Here's some photos that I took of it back in 2015 when I was in Ludington, Michigan. And yes, it's actually laying eggs right in these photos. Now, ash trees were never something I was really dealing with myself, even though I've dealt with quite a few trees. And I'll mention that at the end of this video, where you can see my other videos on the tree work I'm doing. But ash trees weren't until I was down in this section of the Huron River, very near where I live in Ypsilanti, Michigan, off the cemetery. And I was down in the elevated bottomland, and I've been planting since 2021. I've been planting seeds of our native pawpaw tree. Southern Michigan is the farthest north native range of pawpaw. It's the largest fruit here in temperate North America. And while I've been doing the planting of the seeds there in order to restore it, I call it Rewilding Pawpaw in Michigan. I have a whole video series on that. While I was doing the planting, I started to notice that there were ash trees that were not only alive, but some of them were quite large. And so just a few days ago, I started video documenting not all the ash trees, but the ones that I would find along the trails that I have been using in order to plant pawpaw seeds in this really undesignated post-industrial part of Ypsilanti, Michigan, very near downtown. And I'll put in here the number of seeds that I planted. For the most part, it was this year, 2026, planting in the spring. And then before that, 2025, I was planting from spring through summer, as I was planting a lot of germinated seeds that year. And it turns out both the germinated and the ungerminated pawpaw seeds do very well. But back to ash. The emerald ash borer had been really destroying things throughout the whole eastern United States. And so there's actually a project called the Lingering Ash Project. And this is where people who come across any ash tree at this late stage in the game that's actually alive still, they want to have the photos of it, both the trunk part, where you can determine it really is ash, and then up in the canopy too, so that you can see how healthy it may be. Because the ash trees tend to decline from the top down, and they can be very tall. And that's because the emerald ash borer larvae, the eggs are laid in the bark, and the larvae burrow in, and then they start eating the healthy tissues right underneath the bark and creating galleries there. But once enough beetles get in there that what's called girdling the tree, they stop the flow of water up and down through the tree. And so that kills the tree. Again, from the top down, it kills the tree. Now, the reason that this particular riverside forest might be doing so well even at 24 years after ground zero documentation of the emerald ash borer killing ash trees here in southeastern Michigan. Even with that, could be anything of probably at least three things. One, this is an elevated bottomland of the Huron River, a big river. So no matter how bad a drought might be, which we are in a drought right now, it's been about 6 weeks, maybe close to 7, that we've had almost no rain here in Michigan. Again, August 1st. The reason that they do so well is that they're not that far above the water table. So they're not drought stressed, and so they have more capacity to fight off all kinds of diseases and pests. Second possibility is that it's been so long that the woodpeckers have come back in. I usually hear them drilling on a tree while I'm down there planting or video documenting. And in fact, I've often heard pileated woodpeckers doing their territorial kind of drilling, drumming sound. And once I've actually seen a pileated woodpecker, and they require really good forest. So it could be that the woodpeckers are also eliminating some of the larvae, drilling in and getting the larvae underneath the bark. Third possibility is, my understanding is that there were 2 or 3 Asian species of tiny parasitic wasps that were released, tested first to make sure they weren't going to kill any of our other caterpillar larvae types of insects, but that are from Asia and actually there do prey on the larvae of emerald ash borer in Northeast Asia. They lay eggs, and then hatchlings of these tiny wasps will eat the larvae of the emerald ash borer. Or, if it's not a drought-free landscape, if it's not the woodpeckers, and if it's not the brought-in parasitic wasps that are the reason that so many big ash trees are just thriving in this bottomland forest, if it's not that, then it could be that there's some genetic predisposition for them to be able to fight off or even be fully immune to the emerald ash borer. And if that's the case, then that's going to be so important for the people involved in the Lingering Ash Project to come in and sample these lingering ash. And that means climbing up, getting cuttings from the branches, and then grafting those onto rootstock and growing all of them together in orchards such that they can share pollen and produce seeds that will be at least as invulnerable to the emerald ash borer, and maybe, as it sounds, maybe even more so. So, this video documentation is for one reason. It's entirely to make it possible for the experts to not have to visit here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, but watch this video and decide for themselves whether this is a place where the lingering ash need to be sampled and brought into the orchards for future production of disease-free ash trees to repopulate via the nurseries, not just here in Michigan, but in the other states too. So let's get started. We'll begin at the upland section of the trail, off the cemetery, leading to the bottomland forest. Here you can see the upland part of the forest trail is marked in orange, and we'll make just one stop there. After that, we will spend most of our time in the part of the bottomland forest marked in yellow. That's the inland section. On my way to the bottomland where a lot of ashes are, both dead and living, I'm stopping here at the bedframe trail because I'd never noticed this before. I wasn't really looking to distinguish ash trees. So here's an ash tree, and here's a young one alongside it, which is helpful for me because I'll be able to pull down and photograph a leaf. So as I go up here, here you can see the leaves of the little one here, but going way up, that's it up there. That's it. Looks real healthy to me. So coming down now, let's walk over to where I can show this leaf coming out right here. So, anybody have a guess as to whether this is white ash or green? But it doesn't matter because this thing is healthy, alive. The bark looks fabulous on it. Let me take a little rotation here. Okay, it lost a branch right here. First of all, here's the scale. I can do a diameter at another time since this is right along the trail here. What's that, poison ivy or Virginia creeper? It looks like poison ivy going up. Yeah, bark looks great. Bark looks great. And here's what the base looks like. There's another one right over here, but I'm concentrating on these two here. Okay, so where I am, it's very easy to find. Bed frame pawpaw patch is right where this log last fall, well, right there you can see where it fell off and where this tree trunk fell off over the trail. But because, you know, I don't crawl over the log, I go up and around it here, and then you can see how distinct that trail is, the other side. And it goes down to the bottomland. And I did not paint the red things along here. Somebody did recently sometime. The inland section of the bottomland is bounded by the long ephemeral pond. And again, the video is July 30th, 2026. The trails of the inland section are yellow. We'll start out at the Inland A Pawpaw area, then go to the Inland C site. So here in Inland Patch A, I just finished planting a baby walnut in there that I'd grown at my window. And as I'm turning around here and coming down the trail, I noticed here we have an ash tree. I'll probably call it white ash, but I can't tell the difference between the two. And for now, I'll come back at some point and use a measuring tape for getting a circumference and then a DBH from that. But as I look up, it looks darn healthy down here, but what I've learned online is that anything happening with the emerald ash borer usually starts killing the top branches, which I can't see now. So I'll have to come back here another time, but this is just a preliminary inventory of living ash here in the bottomland forest along the Huron River near Ypsilanti, Michigan. So now I will continue down this trail, and I might go straight to the most important spot I want to go to, because when I was planting pawpaw seeds earlier, I noticed that there was a big living ash tree, and right next to it was a smaller ash, only about maybe 3-4 inches in diameter, that was clearly dead and had a whole lot of those D-shaped holes in it. And that's the only place I've really seen D-shaped holes So I'll do the inventory. I just came along the inland trail here, and where I did the first documentation was over there. And coming in here, this is where I plan to go in and document what I just talked about, where I know there's a big living one and a small one with the little D holes. And as I'm walking in, I'm just not accustomed to being able to see a tree down here with this far up the canopy. This far up the canopy. And what I can see up there is that this definitely is the opposite branching. Let me see if I can, yeah, there. This is the opposite branching, I believe, here. I'm no expert, but maybe someone can tell. And then off on this side too. But it is way healthy up there. Oh gosh, and there's another one with the leaves. Oh, that are definitely ash over there too. Okay, I'm going to walk in and put my hand against it. And again, I will come out at another time when the mosquitoes are gone and do a tape measure. But here you can get a sense by my hand. And I'm wearing this contraption here both for ticks not going up my sleeves. I did have Lyme disease, gosh, for the first time in about 16 years. Had it twice before that. But first time in Michigan, the other time was along the East Coast. And so we have that. And then here we've got some other things going on here. And somewhere over there is where I'm going to find the pair of the big ash and the dead little one. So here's the little dead ash. And again, without really looking for them, this is the only one I found that had the characteristic holes in it. And it looks like it's between 3 and 4 inches across, DBH. And let me go up and look at where it heads up. Oh, that's where it had gone up. Now, this is another exquisite spot. I'm not used to being able to look up into the canopy so well. So here's the big one I was talking about, and I'll go up close and put my hand on it and later get a DBH. But there it is, and so let me go up so that somebody who might be able to identify whether this is indeed opposite rather than alternate branching. This side's a little closer here. Oh, the mosquitoes. All right, now I'm going to go and take a look down. Start from high up and then head down. Head down here. Oh, and that's obviously a walnut over there. Unless it's a cottonwood. Yeah, that'd be walnut. Okay, and heading down here. And here's the cluster. And it was along here that I planted because look at, I don't know if this is an ash, but goes way, way over in this direction here. And this is where I planted pawpaw seeds early this spring in the area where it gets some sunlight, pulled a few privets for doing that. So let's take a look at this one right here. So here's the big living ash, and I first came over here to go to to go to this little one, the dead one here. You can see the holes in it. Let's see. And what's useful here is that as I go up, I've got another really good look at, this is the big living ash, and so I will pan out to some of its, the branching up there is so high. It's just so high up there. As I come back down, a way to know you're absolutely here is, again, this is where I was planting pawpaw seeds. And this one has an old Coca-Cola bottle here. Again, things have really changed in terms of how this bottomland has been used over time. So, heading over here, just to give my hand for scale, here we are. But an interesting thing here, well, several interesting things that I found, but as I walk out over towards the walnut here, got a lot of walnuts here. That's my favorite. I like hackberries too, and black cherries, but walnut really is my favorite. Look who's next to it. I cannot tell from the bark myself, but maybe if I go in, oh gosh, that does look like an ash. And that one too, as I go up there, I'll go out to that far bit of leaves out there, and somebody can maybe see if it's opposite branching pattern. Alright, but coming back down, here's another interesting thing. This is one of the darkest places, just dominated monoculture or of AMUR honeysuckle. Now here's a big AMUR right here, but look at how dark. It's a cloudless day, probably about 9:30, and look at how dark it is back there, and that's the Lonicera canopy. But what you see here is a tremendous number of long ago fallen logs. Okay, long ago. You can see these are long ago ones here that then created the opportunity for the AMUR honeysuckle to really take off. But fortunately, this monster big here you can see another big AMUR honeysuckle here, but look what I was able to see. Yeah, there it is. Okay, this is that giant tree fell that I planted the pawpaw along, and look what I can see at this top area. Let me go in. We have got some exit holes here. And then here's some really close to me right here. So somebody can probably diagnose as to whether this is an ash. It certainly hasn't been down as long as the group over there. Look how giant this one was right here. Oh gosh, who is that? Who is that over there? I'll get down below here. Let me go in and see if that's another lingering ash. Let's look at the bark. By golly. Yeah, all right. And as I go up, oh gosh, yeah, that's a big one, straight on through there. That looks like a big healthy one too. Okay, wow, Lonicera. Oh, look how big this one is. This is just really gigantic. You have a role to play here too, I know that. I'm not making an enemy of you. But yeah, so let me continue here in what I call the inland bottomland. 10 days ago, July 20th, I discovered and filmed the first living ash trees. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more, but I just hadn't noticed them before, but the bark is so diagnostic. It was over in this area here, and here's the big walnut, and it was on my approach to the big walnut that there were two, and then there was another one here, and I didn't film any more than that. But I will look up at the canopy now just to see that we just don't have a lot of dead things showing up in the canopy. So I've reached the end. This is the end of my inland trail because that's section 8 that starts there, and when there's water here I can't cross it. But right here at the end I've got a number of what could be living ash trees. Let me go up close here. Okay, and as I look up, there, oh yeah, there, very close down, there's some branching that somebody can tell if that's alternate or opposite in there. All right, and now turning back this way, again, all the greenery at this level. This is AMUR honeysuckle, Lonicera macii, and here's some. They don't have to be very dense in here in order to spread. Look at that, how they can spread and connect to one another and make a solid subcanopy shade in here. Okay, so next one I will photograph here is, let me go up to first take a look at what the bark is doing here, and then lower down here. That's too close. Yeah, there. And that looks like, what's that, a walnut back there? Okay, so as I go up on this one here, it's got quite a bit of curvature going on, but the canopy is way up there. Okay, so I've finished filming what I'm going to film here. Again, this ephemeral pond goes and continues back into that herbal area there and farther back, and I don't know why there's so many mosquitoes that are just swarming around me, because we have not had any water in here for a good 6 weeks. Alright, so this is the first one that I filmed, turning through here, and again I'm standing at the end of the inland trail, and now I'm going to, and I did this one here, and now I'm going to be heading back because I did see a few more along the trail that the deer and I use. One other thing, the big walnut, the ephemeral pool is here, and dead ends about up in that area. But this is the only place where I've been able to easily see a dead tree that has not yet fallen. So let me go in on that, and maybe somebody can diagnose what that is. Here's going way up to, oh yeah, if I go in way at the top, somebody can tell if it's opposite. Yeah. Gosh, from what I can see, that looks opposite to me. Oh, and when I was setting up the camera here, I heard a small woodpecker, but I have seen a pileated woodpecker along here, and I regularly hear their territorial drilling sounds. Okay, so now I really will, and look here, we've got a Lonicera, got a little hackberry, and we've got a walnut here. So here's where I'm going to be walking back. This is a semi-trail, good enough for me and the deer. Here's this one I looked at, and that one that I looked at. And here's what the canopy looks like right here. So it looks to me from here that we've got another couple of ashes, maybe all three of these stems here. See the three stems? 1, 2, 3. Possibly all those are ash. All right, continuing. So I'm filming the bark of the 3 triple trees that I just found here, and this certainly looks like ash to me. And then over here, that looks like ash. And again, there's nothing that looks wrong with the bark. And then over there, oh gosh, yeah, over there, that looks like an ash too. All right. Well, this one might be the biggest one, so I'll put my hand here for scale. There we go. Okay. And then as I turn, here's the other one here. This is the one closest to the trail. And yes, that really is a trail that goes through right there. The deer and I know that. All right, continuing, because on the way in, this one looked interesting. Orientation here. The trails along here, this goes out towards the riverside here. I was just filming back this way at the ephemeral pond. And this hackberry is a good way to note where the place is that I went and planted a whole bunch of pawpaw seeds. So here is the dead, certainly an ash tree that had died, that I then filmed living ash trees back there. So as I look here, it looks like I might have this one and this one. This is a small one. Let's go up here where we can see the bark and see where it splits off up there. Okay. Right there we have an arching branch, and then there's some sunlight here. So let's see what these leaves look like. Okay, well, anyway, this one here, I'll go in and do a close-up of the bark. What I'm doing standing here first, though, is that you can see how tall it is, and you get a good look at that canopy. Oh, all right, let me go in on it. There's the canopy. Way up there. And then coming down the tree. Here it is. And now I'm going to go up and get a close look at the bark. All right, I'm touching here at the one place where I see some kind of a, and then there's another one here. But as I look around, oh, and then here's another one here. Oh, and here's some here. But I wonder if this might just simply have to do with the fact that it's leaning. So let me go around here, because the bark certainly shows that it's not putting in it's not growing on the lee side anymore. It doesn't want to have any more gravity going over there. Look how different that bark is there. Let me go in on it here. Yeah, just smooth. Actually, that's got some algae on it there. And so here's what it looks like going around and up here. And then as I look upward, this is Lonicera all around here. You really can't see. Okay, so that's the ephemeral pond back there. We're turning through here. Big logs. Oh, and what you should notice here, yeah, look at all the down trees here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back there where let me go in on this. Back there was a tree, and then another one over here. Those are the two that I filmed near the ephemeral pond. A lot of maples out there in the ephemeral pond. And then here the triplet that I filmed. All right, and another lovely Lonicera. And my stick is on the trail, and I'm going to be heading back now, and I'm going to get out of the bottomland. I'm going to go up to another part of the bottomland where the biggest ash I noticed this spring, and I'll see if it's possible to look at its canopy. All right, good day. So, just coming off the trail from the ephemeral pond, heading back to the main river trail. And this is the tree that signifies where the inland bottomland trail begins. Look at this. This is a gorgeous living butternut. And get my hand here for scale. Oh yeah, look at that. It's so different. The bark is so different from a walnut. And there's one other about this size butternut that I have found back here in the bottomland. So we head off to patch 6 of the White Trail section of the bottomland forest. It's still July 30th, 2026. Look at the center of this trail map to see patch 6. At my pawpaw patch 6, this is the most recent dead ash I'm aware of that's big. There you can see its canopy there. Let me go in here and see if you can see if the branching is opposite. And it's not poison ivy up there. Maybe it's Virginia creeper. Last winter, this branch came down, and I have a picture where you can see mushrooms on it. But the most interesting thing that I just looked for is, you can see all the places that have created sunny openings for me planting pawpaw. But as I look around here, there are some holes. There are some holes that can be seen here in the barkless area. And also over here, there are some more in this area too. Oh, right here, this is the best spot. Yeah, look at that. And did I see any bark? Oh yeah, right here. Right here. This could be bark beetle engraving, sure. That's what that is. Yeah. One more view. That's the big dead ash there that I just filmed. And I've walked back into the dark area of the AMUR honeysuckle just to show the amount of tree falls that went on in here. Look at that, and look at the size of this AMUR honeysuckle right here. Very dense. You can actually see where some have fallen and made the honeysuckle lean over. So the honeysuckle had gotten started. And of course, here's the walnut. That walnut that goes through it all, has no problem at all with the emerald ash borer. And I don't know, is this an ash? It's just so small. I don't know, I'll look in on it. It looks like there's some, it's having some problems, so gosh, yeah. So this one's on its way out. Coming back, the main trail that parallels the river. Downstream is that direction, upstream is this. And somebody other than me, about a year and a half ago, put red marks along this main trail. So what's interesting here, this is the biggest black cherry we've got back here, but there's a pair of walnuts here, and this is one that's got May apples all the way up to the trail. Here's the trail continues back here in early spring. And there's another big walnut back there, and I've planted some more pawpaw seeds around here. But here is a rather old ash that is dead. You can see the bark debris here. Here's for scale. So this one lasted quite a while. Can't see up there, but this will be coming down soon. And so this is an easy spot to find because of the pair of walnuts here and that incredibly big black cherry. And of course we've got a Lonicera here. And here's a younger one that is definitely dead. And this one just came down this year. You can see the base of it here, but I haven't bothered. This is a wilderness trail, so I haven't bothered to move any of it here. But here's some of the holes. Now, I don't know if those are woodpecker holes or if those are the characteristic D-shaped emerald ash borer emerging holes. But you can see here a privet. This is a privet here. This is the other subcanopy woody and newcomer, in addition to the AMUR honeysuckle. And then here's, it looks like when it hit that, this part fell off. And so this goes way back here, back to the black cherry. Boy, that's lovely. And there you can see some bunch of older fallen trees all around here. All around here. Okay, I'm going to continue heading back now. I've finished the bottomland area that has the most mosquitoes in it. And there's one that's up very far north that was the first place I really noticed a living big ash tree this spring. So I'll go up there, see how it's doing. Before I get to the last ash tree I want to measure and document, stopping a little bit away from there, downstream away. This is the mighty Huron River, and we've in such a drought. Nothing in the bottomland experiences a drought, but it's, oh gosh, you know, we did have some rain 3-4 days ago, but pretty much for 6 weeks, quite a drought. So I'm pausing here because right along, there's actually a deer trail here, and I did plant some seeds along, as I did behind me too. Right here is an ash, and it's slightly leaning out over the river, and here I go up to the canopy. You can see it's got a really, really healthy canopy in there. And what I find really useful about this spot for filming is one of the branches is really low here, so I'm going to go up close, and people watching this can decide, is that opposite branching, which distinguishes an ash from a hickory, well, walnut. You just look at the bark and you know that. But yeah, here we have it. All right, so turning inland, this is where we are going to go, and I'm pretty sure that's it right there. Looking back 2.5 months to May 8th, 2026. Same spot along the river, north end of the bottomland. I've just finished planting a couple hundred pawpaw seeds, and I spot this big living ash. And then what's really exciting for me is you see this tree here, the gray one, and we look up and the leaves are just starting to come out up there. I certainly can't see them now with this little camera, but maybe when I take a look at what I filmed. But that bark, let me go up to it here. That bark strikes me as an ash. I am no tree expert, but by golly, this diamond shape to me looks like it's an ash. The only other possibility is it might be some kind of a hickory, but I think that's an ash. And what an astonishing thing to see an ash this old that must be resistant to the emerald ash borers. Now we return to July 30th, 2026, where I've come to document the size of this outstanding lingering ash tree. Standing on the uphill side of the biggest ash, this is the one that last spring when I was planting, in fact I'll show right here, you can see the river here, planting on a deer trail that goes right along the river. I noticed this ash and that it was still alive and thriving, and so this is the one that got me to look online about lingering ash. But you can see here that we're about, what is that, maybe 62 inches circumference. All right. Oh, I'm not going to look up in this direction. The sun's right there, but I'm going to stand down there somewhere and get a look up. So right in the center, that's the big ash I was just standing at on the upslope side and measured 62 inches circumference. But here's a good place to be able to go up and take a look at its health up there. Okay, so the best place to look ultimately is over here, because if I go down a little bit, yeah, right here, this is a dead branch on it here, and this is a place to see if it's opposite structure. Sure looks opposite to me. So, back up. It looks terrific up there. And as I come down, you'll be able to see that it's about, I don't know, 10 feet elevation above the bottomland. Here's the slope that goes up to the dense housing development up there. And that signifies this is as far north as I go, as far upstream. And then down here you can see, let's see, this is a dead robinia. There's a lot of robinia, dead robinia back here, which is a pioneer species. There's cottonwoods back here, and there's the river. So as I keep turning here, a couple interesting things. There you can see an ash that is definitely dead but not fully fallen yet. As I turn, here's a robinia that's still alive. I really don't trace them out, but this one is still alive in here. And then here's more of what the slope looks like. I'm not going to look for any more ash. I can see that there's some more ash there. Okay, so golly, it's about noon. It's been a great day. And again, this is the northernmost part of the bottomland. Does not have as many mosquitoes here as where I was first showing the ash trees. All right. May the forest and the woodpeckers, and if there's some wonderful parasitic wasps that get the emerald ash borer larvae too in this area, may it all be with you. Yeah, and I sure hope you outlive me. So that's the end of the video documentation of lingering ash in the elevated bottomland of the Huron River near Ypsilanti, Michigan. Now, one thing that I should mention is that if I've made any misidentifications here, please state that in the comments. And if it has merit, I will certainly add that as a factual correction into the time-coded table of topics that you'll find in the caption of this YouTube video. So, if you're interested in the Pawpaws series that I've done, I'll put the contact for that in the caption where you can find the playlist. Also, all of the assisted migration videos that I've done for the endangered Torreya taxifolia since our group, citizen group, that I founded in 2004, Torreya Guardians, has been moving this north. And then starting in about 2014, I was posting videos as my late husband and I traveled the country for 18 years. He was a reverend and we were speaking in a variety of situations, including churches. And that gave me, as the forestry person, a chance to experience trees throughout the United States and southern Canada. And so I got interested in a number and advocating for the slow-moving ones, which many trees are, they cannot keep up with climate change, advocating for what's called assisted migration. And that's where humans help them move north. As I'm sure the indigenous did for centuries, millennia, before my ancestors arrived. I'm 6th generation Michigander, 10th here in the United States on my Barlow side. But they were moving the seeds, big seeds of pawpaw, they were moving them north, as they were other species. But there are some trees, oaks, that were able to move very well north because of passenger pigeon, and also because of the kind of bird found here. A friend gave me this logo, the Department of Unauthorized Forestry. Jays have been doing that and continue to do that. And so, yes, I've done that in the forest bottomland. But it's not a pristine site. You'll see the first starting part, I call it the bed frame site, and that's because there's a bed frame there. I've got another part in the Pawpaw series where it's marked by where a car carcass lives. Barbed wire you'll see in places. So this is not pristine, and there's been a lot of homeless people living there, so I don't feel bad at all about planting native pawpaw there. And as you've seen in the beginning here, I've also planted a black walnut. May the forest be with you.